Greetings! Welcome to Compost and Causations. I am Akhmostist the Compostist, and this is the first broadcast in a very, very, very long time. How long? It doesn't matter. We're here, I'm back, or as I like to say, I'm forward, and today is a special day because there are several things that are going on. For one, you get to see me again, and that's always great. Two, I look like a composter. I had to make some adjustments. I'm in a different part of the studio, and so my normal setup is not present as like how things would be. If you saw my studio makeup right now, you'd be like, yeah, this dude is a composter, and this is some composting ish that he's doing. Like, what is this? So I actually made art with my studio in real time. So, and just to introduce myself again, I'm Akhmostist the Compostist. I have 3 YouTube channels. The first one is the Compliment King on YouTube. The second one is Soul Power Tennis, like soul music, S-O-U-L, Soul Power Tennis. And then this is the third one. This is Akhmostist the Compostist. And so I'm back, I'm forward. But it's also like a relaunch because I want to bring some more excitement, some more traffic, some more eyes and ears on the world of composting and people who look like me who are doing it. And so it's kind of like a rebrand in a way. However, we're expanding. So everything that I speak about is not going to purely be compost based. In general, this page is going to be about sustainability. All right. And then if we get specific, you can say agriculture. And then if we get granular, you can say it's about composting. The third thing we have going on today is we're highlighting somebody. The person who we're highlighting is not someone who is a trained composter, not somebody who's trained in sustainability, in agriculture. However, the work that they do as an artist, as a creative, in my view, which is why I asked them to be a part of this particular channel and this broadcast, it involves a certain level of composting and a certain level of sustainability. And so I really want to, address that point and move forth from there. Last thing that I'll say about that is the interview style that we're going to use is something that I'm going to instill in all of my, on all of my channels. It's kind of like a sped up, kind of like a speed dating format of like interviewing, where we're going to ask a series of questions back to 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 back. And the interviewee has about a minute or less to respond to that question. So it can be a bit intense. It's new. All of this is new. I'm not sure, how many interviews my guest has done as of late. And so, I might be a little bit rusty, and but we're gonna move through. And I want to, before I edify him, I want to acknowledge him for, seeing something of value in the work that I've been doing in the world as a human, or in any capacity, for him to make the choice to, want to come on to a broadcast and be interviewed about his work. And, he's aware that this channel is small, very small, and it's going to be growing, and that this is, I think, a sufficient way to grow it by making it less about me and what it is I do in the world as a composter and Akhmostist the Compostist, and I want to make it less about me and more about the work and people who are out there in the world who are doing work that aligns with the composting and sustainability moniker. So that's what that's about. You all heard some of the background music that I had, and you all saw the picture of the person that I'm about to introduce. And so before we do that, let's do this, and I'm going to share my screen because I don't want to, freestyle with introducing this man. So now you saw his picture up there as you all were waiting, and now it's up there again. And so I'm going to read through just some of his bio. So this is the beautiful human being right here. That is Mr. Alexander Edwards. Says he was born 1991 in Denver, Colorado. That's a cool place to be. Alex is a contemporary sculptor who lives and works in Brooklyn, New York. As a child, he grew up in the foster care system, an experience which provides an unexpected entry point to his practice. The sculptures in his exhibition embody a simple and algorithmic kind of integrity that Edwards describes was central to his coming of age, the sense that you get out of what you put in. For Edwards, food has always been an ideal material. This is him speaking. Food has always been an ideal material for me that allows family to get together and to lay it all out on the table. It carries the history of tradition and culture. I've never actually seen my mother and father in the same room for a meal. So there was always a detachment for me from what a normal, quote unquote, life and family looked like on TV. I'm always trying to grasp at that space, be it physical or technological. It always seems to be out of reach. Edwards groups his relief sculptures without hierarchy, mixing non-functional pieces of technology to represent systems that do not work but have large influences on our lives, like the foster care system, education system, and prison system. Edwards addresses both the feeling of being boxed in and trapped as life rots away, and how technological spaces represent physical spaces we occupy and function through that seem to be corrupt to the world around it, but naturalized as a way of custom. By rendering his systemic upbringing with abstract and figurative detail, encasing it with vivid palette, Edwards makes his subject matter immediately felt. He ingests the stuff of his life into surfaces that both evoke and provoke, inspiring uncanny leaps in the minds of the viewers. We might never have been in these systems or reached these spaces, but if we spent any time at all in this country, we know them like the back of our hand, or like the channels on our grandma's TV. Edwards attended Pratt Institute, okay, let's go Pratt, and has created installations for Pratt Institute, Brooklyn, New York, O'Flannery's Gallery, New York City, New York, City Group Gallery, New York, New York, Hangar Centro de Investigación Artística Gallery, Lisbon, Portugal, and various private collections. All right, so that was that. That was a lot to share and say, but if you watched any previous videos of mine, I like to talk. So without any further ado, before I bring him up, good dude, doing good work in the world. And it's been fun and the blessing of getting to know him as of late. And let's give a nice warm round of applause for Mr. Alexander Edwards. Mr. Edwards, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. Your screen,
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear?
It's frozen for a minute. Just a moment. Let me see something.
Okay.
My phone is going haywire. Awesome. There we go. Can you wave your hand? Because I think your screen might be breaking up or something. The connection might not be that strong. Yeah. Before I brought you up, I could see you backstage and everything seemed clear. But since I brought you up, I haven't been able to hear you and your screen is frozen, unfortunately. So I'm going to remove you just for the time being, because I like to see myself on the full screen. And if you can still hear me, Alex, if you can kind of like get somewhere where there's a stronger connection. And as a last resort, you know, the watchers have already seen your face, and they know your story. So if you have to just call in on your phone, then we can do that as well, as a last resort. And I'll just have your picture up there. Otherwise, let's let you get resettled, and we'll bring you back up. In the meantime, I shall talk some more. So I plan on doing a longer interview session with Alex on my other channel, but this is one to begin with. So let me bring him back up. Let me see if we can hear him. I see his profile picture. Let's see if we can actually hear him. So I'll give him a moment to be heard. Feel free to try to say something, Alex. Okay, I'm gonna bring him back down. Alex, feel free to send me a text message with any support that you may need, and I'm gonna turn my mic up as well. And in addition to that, I'm going to do this. I'm going to sip some tea. What kind of tea is this? Of course, it's compost tea. Well, for those who don't know what compost tea is, well, that was compost tea because I'm a composter talking about composting on a composting channel while sipping tea. So that's that. However, compost tea in itself is the liquid essences that come out of the compost pile, or the composting process, that you can do many things with. It is highly nutrient rich and has a lot of different things going on with it, microorganisms included. And I don't recommend actually trying to drink or ingest compost tea that comes out of a pile. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna try it without the video and see how that works. So we're gonna bring Alex back up. Are you there, Alex? And we're gonna call him Alexander, which I'm a fan of using people's entire name. But he's my guy because from one A to an A, salute, I see you. That's like somebody calling me, hey, what's up, Ak? No, call me Akhmostist. So I respect that. And it sounds like we have contact, ladies and gentlemen. Are you there, Alex?
Are you able to hear
Alexander?
me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. And thankfully enough, you're a smart man because you have a nice pictorial that shows as you talk.
Okay, so, good.
Awesome. So everybody, I present to you Mr. Alexander Edwards. What happened to your picture? There he is.
How's it going? If it gets slower, we'll just have to cut the cam off. And sometimes cam can hold too much or something.
Yeah, it was skipping there, but let's try to get through it a little bit, and then, like you said, if it's not working, we'll just do what we need to do.
Okay.
So
I can hear and see you perfectly fine.
Yeah, got you. Which means that, unfortunately enough, it's not me. But yeah. So, first question. Under a minute to respond. Who are you?
I get a little more than a minute because it's a lag.
Yeah. And go ahead. Oh, there is a lag. I wonder
I'm
how many
ready. I'm
seconds, how
ready
many moments is the lag? It sounds
whenever
like it's
you
about
are.
like a 5 moment
There is
lag.
a lag,
It's
yeah.
cool. Cool, cool, cool. So your
So
minute
that.
begins now. Who are you, man?
Okay, Alexander. I'm an American sculptor, American artist, and that's who I am. I can take the whole minute or just shorten it.
You can take the whole minute if you like.
Okay, I won't. I'll leave it at that. So an artist, and I work efficiently using food and technology.
So you get that minute over. Nice shirt. I recognize that shirt. Nice artwork behind you as well. But unfortunately, we're gonna have to not use the live video because it's skipping pretty bad. So we get to see the same shirt in a different way. So there we go. There he is. So your minute starts
Yeah,
again
exactly.
because that broke
Perfect.
up. That's much better. Thank you.
Oh,
So
you didn't get any of it. Okay,
it was very choppy.
gotcha. Okay, let me know when.
Let the games begin.
So Alexander Edwards, I'm an American artist, a sculptor specifically, and I create sculpture using technology and food. I think
Awesome.
I think I'm a genuine person. Yes.
I'm listening.
Oh no, that was all. I think I think I'm a genuine person. I think people think I'm kind of cool. So
Cool. So what do you do specifically, and what do you do best in that?
so I create artwork by taking bits of non-functional technology, and I kind of connect that with food and the way that food rots. And so I like to create these kind of figurative sculptures, right? By taking these two kind of disparate materials and kind of mending them, or also putting them in the same places and spaces to see how they function. Um, I excel at kind of painting this picture in a sense of the beauty in nature, like a beauty and also an ugliness, because as the food starts to rot, it no longer looks presentable or appetizing. But there's still a beauty within the nature that's what food does.
Beautiful, beautiful. I like that. I like that. And that's a big part of the reason why we have you on the broadcast, because you're using key terms as it pertains to, composters that we like to hear. And as you can see on the screen, between Alex and I is a piece of one of his main pieces of artwork.
Alexander.
And the key term that he used is rot. And what you see here, composting food. Food scraps is essentially food that has rotted or is rotting. The moment that a food scrap falls off the tree or falls off the vine or is plucked by human hands or animal is when it begins the process of essentially rotting or composting. And so Alex has kind of sped up that process. Alexander has kind of sped up that process in a way.
Alexander.
So could you, Alexander, absolutely. So could you take a moment to explain to us what it is we're seeing as a, actually, we'll do that at the end. I just want people to get a visual of what it is your work looks like if they didn't see it on the way in. So you're using a term rot, and that's composting, and you're dealing with food. So that's a key connection with what it is we do here on Akhmostist, the Compostist. And my next question is, why do you do what you do? Like, what's the impetus behind it all? Why?
So I originally started putting this food in, and as it rotted, I used to use a term that was decompose, right? That's also another one that I like to use, is that it decomposes, right? And so this is poesis, or poesis, which is part of creation, right? So artists are kind of these people that can show you actually there. And poets kind of can describe that, or showing you what's not there. So compose something, like if you're writing or if you're creating music, you're composing, which I think, right, like you kind of art something in sense, or the creation of art does that. And as things begin to decompose, they kind of take away from that nature. So originally I would compose. So I think I'm just doing a really great job at showing this of
Yeah, your connection is breaking up a bit. The last thing we heard is that you think that you do a really good job at.
it's showing decomposition.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, um, do you care? I know that that was under a minute. Do you care to expound upon that in terms of, like, what's your why, and what was like the driving force, behind what it is you do? Like, do you wish to add anything else to that?
Oh yeah, I love to create the work that kind of can give you a picture, right? Like I continue to work on the beauty and the ugliness in nature. And so, kind of the nature of people, or the nature of kind of some systems, can be beautiful to the eye, but also, kind of ugly in nature. I like to highlight that, not to be, a crazy political artist, but I think all art is political. And so that'd be kind of a drive. I mean, at the end of the day, I just want to make good art. But through my lived experience, which is what goes into each work that I create, I like to show you, the ugliness or the beauty in which I lived through an experience, so that someone who sees that and identifies with that can see that as a means to kind of elevate from those situations, or take from those situations and make beautiful, or captivating, a beautiful image that someone can relate to, and give them kind of a hope or a reason, or hopefully spiritually guide them to a place where they feel accomplished, or the ability to create their own success. But at the end of the day, I just want to make good art.
Overstood, overstood. Beautiful. So, when did you know that you had it? When did you like see your light, that you were in a position or a place that you were like, you know what? I'm on to something. I've struck gold. I got the clarity. I'm good. I got it. Now, I can be professional, and I'm going to move forth with it. When did that moment come for you?
I think, honestly, right, like as a kid, I knew I had it because I was the weird kid that made art. No one else no one else that I was around was making art, so all the stuff that I was doing was all kind of weird. Even the concept of putting things in boxes, I wanted to create a sense of space within a space, and so I wanted to kind of say, what would it feel like if you could put like a nebula in your living room, or a galaxy somewhere on your coffee table or something, So that in itself was a kind of signifier. But as far as when I decided that I had it, I think when people responded to it, I couldn't get people to say that it was a bad thing, which I always wanted to be the kind of the bad boy or the bad kid that people would see the work and they'd be like, oh, this is disgusting, I don't like it. And when I realized I couldn't get that visceral reaction from people, I thought, okay, I must actually be onto something here.
Awesome. So that was a beautiful explanation. And I think it's always, powerful to be conscious, be aware of who you are in time and space. And a lot of times as children, we have this about us, and it really is either dimmed, shunned, stagnated, or allowed to bloom and blossom based upon who's around us, our conditions, but really like what's in our spirit and what fortitude we have. Because some people don't have that support system around them, but yet they succeed because of the fortitude to succeed, to win, and they know and love themselves. And you can whereas you can have all of that support around you, but you don't have that inside of you. And so it sounds like your story is
Yeah.
more of my upbringing was a bit chaotic, as it can be for a lot of us, but mine is very, very particular. And yet, because I was always that kid, I was able to feel comfortable with who I was and who I am. And it was just like, I'm onto something because I'm authentic to me. And now I'm going to do something with it. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, exactly. And and I don't want to take from anyone's experience. I think everyone's lived experience is unique, right? So I never seen myself as doing something that was abstract or totally different. I think everyone can always kind of relate to some similar experiences, but yeah, I think being true and authentic to myself in the sense that I was only living out that internal guidance. I think that kind of built a very strong wall of artwork.
Absolutely. Now, to bring it to a close, how do people best see, hear, or experience the work of Mr. Alexander Edwards? If before you respond, if you're just joining the broadcast, thank you for being here. Please make sure you like, subscribe, share, click the notification bell so that you can be made aware of when it is we go live here. And in addition to that, if you have a comment or a question that you want to ask our esteemed guest, Mr. Edwards, please feel free to do so. Comment or question. We will acknowledge that. And yeah, so continue onward, Alexander.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. Just repeat the question one more time. How
Where
the
can
work
people
is best.
see,
Yeah.
hear, or best experience your work?
Yeah. I think definitely over time, right? That's kind of one of the best ways to get the experience. But it's also good that the first day that it's out, that's when you want to see it. As with everything that's fresh, you want to get it before it's sell by date. So as soon as it comes out, you'll experience the colors of the food, and you'll experience kind of what food connects to you, how culturally you identify with certain foods, and then over time seeing how that changes. And at the center of everything, I think it's the way that it affects your intellect that the work is perceived the best, right? Same with food. You can have the same meal in two different restaurants, and one of those restaurants is going to stimulate your senses differently than another. So I think being able to see how stimulated within your senses, I think that's the best way to experience my work.
Awesome. So for people to best experience, the work, the first day that it comes out, um, like, do you have any upcoming shows in the very near future?
Yeah, so I'm working on a series of work for a gallery in Portugal, um, and putting things together and working on some collaborative efforts with a couple of artists. But yeah, the gallery is always the best place to see it, or even reaching out and doing a studio visit, popping by the studio and checking out the work.
And two-part question. First part is where is that studio? Like, where's the location exactly? If you have an exact date or time, or it's definitely going to be at that studio, like, where would that be? And then the second part is, in terms of your social media, or how best can they see or experience your work in that way as well, if you want people to keep
Yeah,
in contact with you or be made aware of when the next show is.
yeah. So people can always reach out to the Instagram. It's my first and last name, Alexander Edwards _studio. And from there, shoot me a DM, or you can always, my website is a great place to see the work. If you can't get to a physical location, you can always look at my website, which is my first and last name, Alexander Edwards .studio. And there's a contact page if you really want to set up a studio date and reach out. But everything can be found in those two areas.
Awesome. And I'm also going to put that information in the comment section of this particular broadcast as well. So you can just click on the link and easily have access to at least his website and some additional information that I have up there as well. And the last question is there a comrade of yours in your field which, you would like to highlight?
Yeah, I think I'd like to, say R.J. Brown, good friend of mine, and he's doing some pretty major things within the acting world. He's an actor. He's on 13 Reasons Why, and just got a new office space to work on some, director ventures. So, that's a guy that I think is adding new perspectives and change within acting. So definitely look him up.
Awesome. You wouldn't happen, do you know his like social media or his website offhand?
Yeah, just RJ Brown Jr. on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, he's Caleb on 13 Reasons Why.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. You brought in the media component, so now people go, oh, that guy.
For sure.
Oh my God, I know him. This is
Yeah,
gonna be
exactly.
so awesome. Like,
Exactly,
that's
yeah,
all
yeah.
it takes. He's on a show, a TV show of any sort.
Right.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I think they just wrapped a season, so he's good now.
Nice. It's about paying it forward. So we're, here to highlight you in particular, but we also always want to pass it forward, pay it forward, and acknowledge, people around us. It's like oftentimes when people they get exposed to a topic matter or this broadcast or a subject matter of any kind, they're like, oh, that's not for me. I'm not interested in that. And I do my best, and I'm asking for other human beings on planet Earth to do their best and not just think about yourself and what you're interested in and what you think may apply or not apply to you, but how can this information, how can this artwork, how can this way of being applied to somebody else in your life who may find value in it, and it can make them just more well-rounded, whatever the case may be. So, that's why we ask that question here, and to like highlight someone else as well. And I have a bonus question.
Okay.
Do you have an item to show and tell with?
What does that mean? Like like a physical? What are we just any item?
It can be an item of yours that you find value in that is around you at the present moment. Like for me, right? I'll just grab something. You know what? I'll make it very, very specific to you, Alexander. Now, the
Okay.
reason why I was kind of like jacking up on his name earlier is because in my phone I have him saved as Denver Dude. Because like the first few times that we spoke, I had forgotten his name, and I was just like, man, like what's his name? It was like Denver Dude. And so as we like greet each other, we often wouldn't be like, hey, what's up, Akhmostist? Or hey, what's up, what's up, Alexander? It'd just be like, yay, man, what's up? So it was kind of like, and it's like now it's locked in and being like Alexander. Interestingly enough, you share the namesake, the first namesake, with one of my comrades in the composting world, one of my brothers for life in that field with the work that we did in Red Hook. You see the teacup that says Red Hook on the composting site. And we were
Cool.
taught by our mentor. So that's that. So an example, pardon the outside noise, an example of show and tell, if you can see me, is I just grab a globe. I just grabbed a globe.
Nice.
So I have this miniature globe. How does this apply to this topic matter and this broadcast? Well, I got this globe, I want to say, by being a composter, in the sense that somebody was putting it out on the street. I saw it, and I was like, this is a beautiful piece of artwork. This is a beautiful item, and I want to keep it because I'm somebody who grew up, someone who grew up with globes in the household. And interestingly enough, I literally just bought and gave a birth anniversary gift to my mother in the form of a globe. It's much bigger. And
Nice.
It was like from the 1930s.
Wow.
So she had been asking for one for a few years. And then I purchased one, or somebody gave me one, but it got cracked. And I was like, ah. So then it was like, you know what? I have found out that, my uncle's health isn't the greatest, and that's like her older brother. We're actually going to see him tomorrow. And I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? I was walking down the street, and I was like, I saw two globes. And that's actually one of my Instagram posts. You'll see two globes right next to each other, and it says,
Right.
"Living in two worlds." One of those globes, I'm not going to tell you which one, got selected to be a gift for my mother, and I gave it to her. She was like, oh my, like, wow. We were actually on a farm when I gave it to her. So all these things are tied together, people. There's no coincidences to me in that way. So this is my show and tell item. Is a
Nice.
globe of this planet that we're on. At the end of the day, we're on a ball floating in space. And yeah, just some further context. So that's my show and tell moment and item. Thank you all for allowing me to be heard. I really appreciate that. And for you, Alex, Alexander, pardon. I want to rev up the presentation of it, because you were somebody who kind of like put me on in person to art speak. So I would like for you to I'll give you like a minute or so to find an item around you to grab and be like, you know what? I'm going to highlight this item. Here's why. And I'm gonna put you, under pressure and say, if you can art speak the item, that'd be great. I'll even allow you to do that about your shirt, because your shirt seems to be something that's your sweater seems to be something that is a reoccurring theme, and it has value to you. So you can use your shirt, your sweater, or you can use any other item. I'll give you about half a minute to select something. All right?
Okay. Well, I'll say this. My first thought was to be a pencil. Because I got, but that was like that was a little cheesy. I'm not gonna do the art speak because gallerists and dealers kind of do that to sell work, and I really do have something that's very authentic here, which is a sweater, not the sweater that I'm wearing, although we can talk about that sweater.
No, I'm messing with you. Now go ahead.
This guy. So this sweater, right, was given to me by my first mentor in the art game, Rashid Johnson. And it carries the logo of his studio. So I think it's kind of authentic to all of us, right? As foundational Black Americans in the U.S., we kind of were born into the crosshairs within the annals of history. So this is kind of representative of that experience. And, you know, I hung out in his studio and he mentored me and kind of helped me put a lot of artwork, you know, ideas together, helped me formulate my thoughts a little bit. And, you know, this was kind of like as a badge of honor. Not everyone can walk into that studio and be welcomed without an appointment, you know, or without some sort of email attached to why they're being there. But with this hoodie, I can go in 24/7 and experiencing what I experienced in that studio out of myself, the grind that I had at that time, the vision that I kind of carried myself with, kind of lives within this hoodie. So I wear that when I go into my studio to make work. So, you know, I wore it today. It's a little chilly, and so I threw it on. And so it does have a really strong value to me, based on you know how it was given to me, and what it represents to me. On it, it's kind of like it's a spectacular kind of thing, because you know not everyone is out there rocking this hoodie, but a couple guys are that are really paramount to the studio. So I think it's kind of important.
Yeah, that was powerful. Thank you for sharing that. You know, I learned something very interesting in general, and I learned something about you that resonated with my spirit. So give thanks for that. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to, unless you have some closing words that you'd like to share, Alexander, we're going to commence with the interview. And before I say what I'm going to say, you got any closing words?
Yeah, no, just you know, thanks for having me. Yeah, really enjoyable experience.
Yeah, man. Thank you for being up to it, and for me, this is, again, like I shared, a special moment, because it's the relaunching of this particular channel, this broadcast. And sometimes people can be a bit leery about participating in what somebody may be working on because it doesn't have a huge following, or because they're not popular, or whatever the case may be. And some of those reasons, it's a time and place for everything, and some of those reasons may be valid. However, as somebody who's experienced an abnormal amount of that, anytime somebody's like, hey man, I know things are starting out and they're newer, but I see some value either in you or what it is you're doing, I'm going to participate. So it's an equal exchange. But just from me to you, I want to thank you for for helping me any bit of, for laying this brick, that you laid down for this channel and my career and my path in that way. It could be one brick out of a million, but it's a brick that's been laid. So I want to thank you for that, or maybe a shovel of food scraps that's been tossed on up to the pile.
Yeah, for sure.
So thank you once again.
There you go. Nice. Yeah, there you go.
From the compost we come, from the compost we shall return. Ideally, no time soon, but I just want to, from one brother to another, it's beautiful for us to be in this space and be able to do this work as creatives, and be able to infuse any level of sustainability, and maybe in the long form interview that we do, we can get into, we can expand upon or expound upon what it is we just touched on in this episode. I think we did pretty good at keeping it to a minute. And yeah, let's just keep building, keep doing your thing. And thank you once again, Alexander Edwards. And we'll speak with you and see you soon. And happy autumn and enjoy the rest of your evening, brother.
Sounds good. Sounds good. You do the same. Thanks a lot.
All right. No doubt. Peace. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So that was Mr. Alexander Edwards, a creative, a sculptor specifically in that field, in that arena of art creation. And yeah, he infuses, technology and actual food scraps to make some incredible work. So that was this particular broadcast. And I want to thank you all for being present, for those who did tune in, tap in, and, choose to be a part of things. You are greatly appreciated. And we'll see what's next. It's not just going to be interviews. It's also going to be, presentations that I'll be putting on in some capacity. So that is that. And until next time, as we say here, make sure you stay tuned and stay in tuned. Akhmostist the Compostist. Composting causation's coming at you. Peace.